Here we are at example 9 from our 8.57 notes. We're asked to simplify the following expression. And in just looking at this, we could look at our LCD, our least common denominator. Pretty much the item that they all have to be going into to be the same thing. It looks like the smallest, if we look at the numbers just for a moment, just the numbers, so 6, 2, and 4. The smallest thing that 6, 2, and 4 all go into is 12. 6 goes into 12, 2 goes into 12, and 4 also goes into 12. And that's the smallest thing that each of these all go into. There's no other number below that where they all three evenly go into it. When we're looking at the variable x, the smallest thing that each of these all go into is actually x cubed. X squared goes into x cubed, x cubed goes into x cubed, next to the first also goes into x cubed. Now let's say for a moment that you maybe had a hard time finding this LCD, this least common denominator. Another method that you can take is actually breaking these down to their most fundamental elements. And so when we just look at the number 6, for example, we know that 6 is the same thing as saying 2 times 3. So that takes care of our 6 in terms of just breaking it down into smaller items. Looking at the x squared, that's the same thing as saying x times x. Now looking at our 2, we can break 2 down into 2. And the x cubed is also broken down into x times x times x. Our 4x can be broken down into its basics of 2 times 2 times x. Now, why is that important? Why is breaking these down into their most fundamental items important? Well, it actually can help you structure your LCD, or your least common denominator. So, for example, if we're structuring our LCD using this other method, the first item that we're going to notice that we have to have on our list is a 2. They all share that common 2. And as a result, we're going to go ahead and cross him off our list now because he's part of that LCD. Looking at the 3, we notice that we have a 3 here. And as a result, these guys don't have 3s, but since we see him at least once, he has to go inside of our LCD. Now we can go ahead and cross him off. The x we have here, here, as well as here, so that has to go inside of our LCD. We can go ahead and now get rid of him. And since it's part of our now LCD, we can go ahead and cross it from all of the items that we just mentioned. We notice that we have another x. So that is also part of our LCD. This one also has an obtained x, so we can cancel him out as well. This last one, though, does not have an extra x left over, but that's okay because he's taken care of from our LCD. Now looking at our middle one, everything's pretty much been crossed off except for this remaining x value. So he is also going to go inside of our LCD. Likewise, this 2 is the last item remaining, so he is also part of our LCD. So pretty much it's just going down the line, breaking things down as much as possible, and seeing if you can use it as an LCD, and if you can, crossing it out appropriately. And then just kind of going down the line until there's nothing left over and everything's been crossed. It's important to note, though, that if we looked at an x here, well, this one also had that x, this one also had that x. So it was vital that you cross them off as soon as you add it to your LCD if the others have it. This 3 was only shown up in the first one. The second pieces did not have that 3, but it's still part of the LCD and still gets canceled off. Now when we look at our LCD for the blue version, we can go ahead and multiply all 3 numbers together, get 12, also x cubed. So that's just a really different way of looking at how to find that LCD. If you're what number and what is the exponent for that appropriate variable. Now we're going to go ahead and move on using our least common denominator. that we know is 12x cubed. Looking at the first piece, we have 3 divided by 6x squared. In order to get that 12x cubed LCD that we're hoping for, we would have to multiply this by 2x, both on the top as well as the bottom, plus 1 divided by our 2x cubed. And we're going to go ahead and multiply, make that bar a little shorter. We're going to multiply that by, in order to get 12x cubed, we just have to do 6 over 6 plus 5 divided by our 4x. In order to get that 12x cubed LCD, we'd have to multiply this by 3x squared and 3x squared on top and bottom. Now we can go ahead and distribute our tops. So when we do that for this top leftmost, we end up with 6x divided by 12x cubed plus 1 times 6 is just 6 divided by 12x cubed plus 15x squared divided by 12x cubed. Now that they have all of the same exact bottoms, we can go ahead and combine our tops. And when we do that, we end up with 15x squared plus 6x plus 6 all over 12x cubed. Checking to see now if things can simplify. It really doesn't matter too much. Actually, no, we can pull out a 3 from the top and bottom. So when we do that, we end up with 3 times 5x squared plus 2x plus 2 divided by 12x cubed. And it looks like we can break this down to dividing the top by 3 and bottom by 3. So our final version comes out to be 5x squared plus 2x plus 2 on the top divided by 4x cubed on the bottom. Again, though, that is example 9 from our 8.5 set of notes.